Good morning again, everyone. Just as a reminder, my name is Lacey Villava. We're also joined by Courtney, who is one of our interns and will be facilitating one of our activities today. And behind the scenes, we've got Holly, who's helping to answer your questions and work with any tech issues. Our program today is all about games. We're going to be, oops, I forgot to change one of those. We're going to be looking first at a game called Quoits or Ring Toss, and then we're going to make some bubbles. And then at the end, rather than building a menu, we are going to be talking about a game called Buzz. Buzz is a really fun, really simple game that doesn't require any supplies. So our next slide is our supply list for our first activity there, Quoits. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and let everybody take a moment, if they wish to participate along, to grab all of those supplies. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get mine sorted over here on my table. So we will give you just a moment. All right, Courtney, why don't we get started?
All right, that sounds great. So yes, we are going to build our own quoits today. But first, I thought we should look at some pictures. We have some wonderful 18th century images of people playing games. And what we'll see a lot in the 18th century is that games were highly gendered. A lot of times the boys would be outside playing more kind of rough and tumble games, and the girls are more calm and collected and doing inside games. And I love this first image that we found because you can see kind of that divide. There's two boys kind of in the middle playing shuttle and cock, which is kind of like an 18th century badminton, if I understand.
Not quite the right name, Courtney, but
Oh,
you're
so
really close.
yes,
Battledore and shuttlecock.
battledore. Sorry,
So
yes.
there's the shuttlecock right up there in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and the two boys are holding the battledores.
Battledores. How could you forget a name like Battledore? That is so cool.
Isn't
So
that a fun one?
yeah, won't forget now. Thank you. And if you look even further behind those two boys, there's even more kids out. It looks like maybe some kind of game of toss or catch. And if we start coming in a little bit, we'll see the girls inside. We have a girl right there, kind of in the middle on the left, playing with a doll. There's also a girl actually then playing with the baby next to it, which is kind of a fun little image. And then on the ground, all sorts of things. I think like there's musical instruments, books, balls, all sorts of items.
We've got some learning going on here too. This
Mm-hmm.
object is also sometimes called a battledore because of its shape, but that's a horn book, which was a tool used for learning the alphabet. And we've got some balls, and this right here, it's a little hard to see. You can just make out the handle of the scissors is a sewing kit.
Yep. Very cool. There's just one more thing I want to show. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but up on the balcony there is a little boy. Looks like he's blowing bubbles. So again, we're going to come back to bubbles later in the program, so just kind of stick that in your back pocket. But very kind of a fun image. So Lacey, if we could head to the next slide. All right, beautiful. So we have a picture of two girls, and you see they are very elegantly dressed. They appear to be playing inside. There is sort of a horse, maybe a stick horse or a toy horse that they're playing on, and also a little bit of looks like a doll's face down below. So we kind of get an idea of what sort of games and how young girls were playing in this time. And I believe we have one more image of, here we go. There's some more young ladies, some girls. They're playing outside this time. So it's a little bit more, messy, I suppose. But still, look, even still, they are very elegantly dressed, playing with their stick horse. There's a pinwheel. So it's not as, rough and tumble as running around and tagging each other. So
And it's also important to note that we have lots of images of kids of the Mason family's social class. But we have very few images of the other children who would have been living in the Americas at the time, particularly the children who were enslaved. But we do know that they were playing lots of games, many of them more homemade in the way that we would think of them today. Although a lot of the games even the Mason family would have been playing with were more homemade than games and toys that we play with today. And some of the games that we'll be talking about later are games that would be played by all social levels. Little less certain about the ring toss, but throwing games where the goal was to get close to or onto something were really common in the 18th century.
Which I think that ties in really nicely with these images we see of boys playing. Pitch and Hustle was a game. I was trying to think with a modern game, but basically you get everything in the center, get everything, you either toss rings or toss balls and try to get everything as close together. So kind of like quoits, kind of like the game we're going to play here or make here in a little bit. We also see another image of boys threading the needle. And if I understand, they would just kind of link their arms and then sort of weave in and out. And so you see a little more active games, definitely outside. And these are beautiful illustrations, by the way. I understand these are what, wood carvings?
Yeah, they're in woodcut engravings in a wonderful little book called The Pretty Little Pocketbook. It was originally published in Great Britain, if I recall. This edition happens to have been published in Boston, Massachusetts in 1787. Oh, sorry, not Boston, Worcester.
Okay. Well, and I think we have just two more images from the same little book. So the shuttlecock we see there, which we saw in that very first image that we looked at. And then also a game that's more familiar to us, baseball.
Although those bases don't look
no,
like what our bases do today.
That still has changed. So it's still fun to make some connection, to what was before. Now, I think head on to that next slide there. Now we've been talking about how there's, separation and but of course everything wasn't always black and white and clear cut. And this is a fun image because it shows girls and boys playing together. They're all outside. This is the painting, I believe, is called Blind Man's Bluff, which is what they're playing. And it's basically like a game of tag, just with a blindfold. And I do really love the little girl on the left. Looks like she has lost her hat. So beautiful image.
Sitting down there on the floor.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Right. So if anybody has questions about games or would like to see any more images, drop that in the chat or just raise your hand. Let us know. But otherwise, Lacey, unless you had something else to add.
Oh, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So we're going to build a game of quoits, which is basically a ring toss game, is how we would call that today. And it's going to be a two-part project. We're going to build a base, and then we're going to build some rings that we'll toss on. Now for the base, I'm going to be building mine with a paper towel roll and paper plates.
I have a paper towel roll today. It's very exciting.
So if you do not have a paper towel roll or paper plates, it's totally fine. The great thing about this project is there's a lot of ways to adapt it. So if no paper towel roll, anything that's tall and skinny. For example, I've been using my thermos as an example. And then for the base, basically we're going to put this all together. But if you don't have paper plates for a base, you could also use a box. This is a plant box I got from a nursery. So anything to kind of help stand your tall, skinny item up.
I made a tall, skinny item when we tested this the other day. You can see
I like it.
2 toilet paper tubes together because at that moment I did not have a paper towel roll that was ready for use.
Yes. And then there's also one other little quick way. I like the arts and crafts, so we are going to build a base. But if you happen to just have a paper towel roll holder, you can use that. Mine is actually a dinosaur, but it's very solid, very sturdy, and you could use that.
I love your Brontosaurus. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's to call him Longfellow. So there we go. But let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take my paper towel roll, Again, if you're using a thermos, something else, you'll put it in the middle of your plate or whatever you're using as a base. And we'll take our writing implement, and I'm going to trace a circle around sort of in the middle. So I'm going to set mine down so I can actually get this traced out okay.
My circle is not round.
Mine's not perfect either, yes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out with scissors. Now, if any kids are doing this, be sure to get adult help. It's actually been kind of the joke, even maybe adults need a little help. It is a little tricky to cut the circle out, so just be careful. I usually have to kind of poke a hole in mine and then cut around. So do that real fast.
I'm also apparently not able to cut a round circle today.
No. It's Saturday. It's okay. We can just
Saturday morning.
we can. All right. So you see, I have my circle. It's not exact, but it should do. Give everybody a moment. All right. Looks like Lacey has her circle. So now what we'll do, basically, the paper towel or whatever your tall, skinny object is will slide into the hole, and that's going to be the base. Now, if you see mine, I cut my hole way too big, and it's not great. Yeah, Lacey's just fell right on through. So we have a way to solve that. If yours is not standing upright, you'll need a second paper plate. So just set the second plate to the side, and we're going to come back to our paper towel roll. And we're just going to cut some slits at the bottom. Now, I like to eyeball this, so I usually just do about my thumb knuckle up. If you like to be more exact, you can use a ruler and go up. I found about 3/4 of an inch is a good measurement. And so you'll just make a little mark.
And how many of them should we make, Courtney?
I think about 8.
All right.
So we're going to cut there. And I'm going to come cut the other side. And then we'll do 2 more in between.
And I am not doing this measurement on a table today because it's a little hard to get one where you guys can see it. But I do recommend doing this on a table.
A little more, yeah, a little more support. Okay. So give everybody time to get all their little slats cut, measured out.
All right, give me a sec. I gotta cut them still.
Good. Just getting them ready to go.
Great. Ready.
Okay, so now we have our slats. So we're gonna kind of spread them out like a fan. You can kind of see how I'm getting those spread out. And then I'm gonna take that second paper plate and I'm going to tape it to the bottom. And the idea is once it's taped, I'll slide my paper plate with the hole back on top of it.
Does it matter, Courtney, if the plate is this way or this way?
I was just about to say, it doesn't really matter for the function of the game. I think it looks great to tape it so that it's up. So when you slide the other one down, it's sort of together like this. But if you want to do something wonky like this or just mix it up, that's kind of the fun thing about this game. You can do whatever.
I'm gonna test it out a different way and see how it works.
Taping mine down.
And I should note that we're still in beta testing for this activity when we wrote the supplies list and published it. And we discovered that tape is much better for this than glue. And we no, that was last week.
Yeah, we're talking about the
Sorry about that. Never mind.
But actually,
please recommend tape for this one.
We did beta test. I think when we get to the tossing rings, we'll see there's a lot more options there that we have discovered since we started testing. So you can see I have my paper towel roller now taped to my second paper plate. And I'm going to go ahead and slide my plate with the hole back on top.
Did not cut my hole perfectly in the middle of my plate. You can see they don't.
Yeah, mine are overlapped as well. That's okay. But now you can see it is standing upright, which is really, that's the important part because we'll need that to be able to toss our rings on. So now that we have our base, let's go ahead and just set it to the side for a moment, and we're going to make some rings. Now, I am going to keep using paper plates, and I'm just going to cut a big circle out. Now, my plates have this really nice inner ring, as you can see it on both sides. So I usually just cut around that to make my ring. Again, if you don't have paper plates, there's almost limitless options that you can do to make rings. I have tested out just some cardboard. You cut out some cardboard and toss it. Twist ties, you have to play a little closer to your game, but like 2 to 3 twist ties together. Also, if you have any sort of 550 cord, then you can tie that together. These fly very well. So
Yeah, they've got a nice weight to them, don't they?
yes, they do. So, and I found the best if you braid it. It makes kind of a funny little knot, but it does fly very well. But again, for this, I'm going to stick with my paper plates because I have them. And I'm going to attempt to cut a slightly more even circle this time. We shall see.
You have a guideline to follow that you know that's built in.
Don't have to make it up this time. And Lacey, I understand when they did this in the 18th century, a lot of ropes, things.
Yep, wooden pegs and ropes for the rings. Possibly metal if it was a tabletop, not metal, sorry, wooden rings if it was a tabletop version. They had in the 18th century very skilled woodworkers who were able to make some really, really amazing things.
Okay. So now we have rings, and you can make as many or as few of these as you would like. I have one here that I made earlier, and I had time to paint this and let it dry. So kind of fun colors. But now, if you have your rings, if you have your base, this is where you can decorate. Again, paint is fun, but it does take time to dry. I brought some markers today so I can work on decorating. If you have stickers or any sort of whatever you want, glitter glue, that's always fun.
Drew a flower on my base.
I like it.
Pencil.
I was gonna kind of draw a vine.
Ooh, that looks great.
Yeah. And then once you have your rings, it's a little hard for me to show here, but you'll just toss your rings onto your base.
All right, I guess it's my turn to try to hit my base, isn't it?
We'll see. We're all watching.
You're good at this one, I have to admit. All right. So you guys can see my table over there. I'll give it a whirl. So I have my decorated ring.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if it goes. Probably not.
We believe in you.
I hit the stand. That's a win. I was curious if weight made a difference, so I have stacked 2 plates together and cut out the middle. Let's see if that one goes.
Okay.
No, went further. Let's try that again.
Looks like fun. Looks like the one with 2 flew a little better.
It did.
By that.
I'll stick this just a little further away and see if I can get it. All right, here's my single plate. Makes a nice frisbee. It's close. All right, I also have some other substitute rings. Courtney, you were talking about using 550 cord and stuff like that. I have a nearly empty roll of painter's tape. I don't think this one's gonna float like a frisbee, but maybe it'll work.
Maybe it'll get on there.
Maybe. I got real close.
Yep.
And another one, I was looking for round things with holes in them. This one's a little harder to see. It's a wire wreath form for doing wreaths in the winter. Whenever I get someplace I can harvest boxwood, it's going to make a noise. I'm a little nervous about that, but let's see if it goes.
Ah,
I got really close.
you did. I thought you had it for sure. Well, obviously we, while arts and crafts maybe are our thing, maybe sports aren't, so that's okay.
At least not that sport.
So if anybody has made their own and would like to share, please do. But otherwise, I think I'm gonna turn this back over to Lacey. And we'll,
Yes, Helene and John, thank you for your comment. I will try in our next activity. I was trying to hold them up where you guys could see them, but it's as we said, a little bit hard. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to do another camera that's also top down. So when we do activities like this, you'll be able to see them. So I will try to do that in our next one. So does anybody have any other thoughts or questions before we move on? All right, so I am going to pop up the next set of supplies that everybody needs. So now we're making some bubbles. And while you guys get your supplies, I'm also gonna get myself set up. All right, I am back. So our next activity that we're doing is making bubbles. Bubbles were something that people of all different kinds of social classes, I'm gonna close this again until I'm really ready to use it because the cars are driving by. We see images of all different kinds of people using bubbles in the 18th century. So we have two French paintings and one English cut. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of other images of people blowing bubbles in the 18th century though. There's a really cute one of a young man sitting with mom at her laundry bucket, blowing bubbles out of the laundry bucket. Most adorable thing ever. But I couldn't get a really good quality one because I wanted you to actually be able to see what they're blowing bubbles with. If we look at this one over here on the left, Soap Bubbles by Jean Chardin, we've got this great image, and I took a detail of it so you could see close up. He's using a piece of straw, hay, and he's split the ends so that they splay outward. That I have found in testing with modern equivalents helps provide a bigger bubble. You can see the same thing over here in the one by Van Loo, just barely. You have to look really closely in order to be able to see the bent ends of the straw. But those weren't the only options. That happens to be the most common one that ends up in portraits, but there's evidence of other materials being used to blow bubbles. This young man here is using an old pipe to blow bubbles. Old pipe stems, other things that were hollow were often used to blow bubbles as well. So we're gonna get started with making our own bubble mixture and recreating that shape today. So I'm back over here with my supplies. I have a couple of different straws. You can do this with a reusable straw. It does work really well. But if you want to recreate that effect of the straw, the hay straw, you need a disposable straw. It can either be paper or plastic. I happen to have an ancient bin of plastic ones at home, so that's what I'm going to use today. You need some soap, and this can be whatever. It doesn't matter what kind of dish soap it is, but it should be dish soap. For our modern purposes, it provides a better bubble. You need some water. I'm using about a cup of water today. I pre-measured it so I wouldn't have to be running back and forth. And then I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of dish soap, which my little container here, that's how much dish soap it holds, and a spoon and something to put your bubble solution into. So we're gonna start by preparing our straws. This one's gonna be a little hard to see, so I'm gonna hold it right up close to the camera. We're going to make 4 little flaps. So we're going to make 3 cuts, 4 cuts in the end of our straw. I can't count today. And they should be approximately opposite to one another. This one's gonna be a really hard one to measure, but they don't have to be perfect. And then once you've got the end of your straw cut, you're going to pull the tabs out. It's being recalcitrant. It doesn't want to play fair today. So you can see I've got a little cross at the end of my straw. The straw is ready. We can set it aside. So I am going to get my soap all ready. This one happens to be lemongrass, so I have lots of citrus going on right now. If you want to make bubble solution and save it for later, all you have to do is add about a tablespoon of corn syrup, either light or dark, it doesn't matter. It'll look prettier if it's light corn syrup, and it will help the bubble solution keep. All right, so next I'm gonna add my water. I'm gonna pour really carefully because at this point, we want not to be creating lots of extra froth. Essentially, we want to create a solution. We want to thin our soap out without creating a whole lot of bubbles. The more bubbles we create in making the solution, the less bubble juice we're actually gonna have. All right, so there's all my water in. And I'm gonna give it a really gentle stir. I've got a few little bubbles. I would show you what this looks like, but it's really hard for me to get the screen in the right position to show you the inside of my mug that I'm using. But I still got a little bit of bubble. I've still got some soap that's not quite mixed in. You can see by the way it's, because I'm using a clear soap, it's dripping off the spoon like that. That means I need to stir some more. All right. So nearly done. All right. And we're ready to blow some bubbles. So back to our straw. I'm gonna open up my sliding glass door. I'm gonna blow the bubbles outside and not in my house. And all you've gotta do is dip the straw in the end. It'll pick up the bubble solution and blow gently. All right. With a paper straw, I found that you have to dip it a number of times before you actually start blowing bubbles. because for some reason the paper needs to absorb the liquid in order to effectively blow the bubbles. I'm trying to see if I can get a really big one. I've gotten some massive ones. Oh. I think I might need a little more water ultimately. I have never used this particular brand of dish soap before, so it's all a big experiment.
I'm pretty impressed with all those bubbles you have.
Oh, I mean, this is one of my favorite things to do in the summer, and it's so easy. And the reusable straw works just as well.
And Lacey, I forgot to bring my soap up here because I was very excited to play. I had all my straws as well.
Huh.
If I have one of my straws. It's a reusable. It's metal and it has the silicone tip on it. And I was able to get really big ones with that. So if anybody has a reusable, that's kind of
a nice big one.
You go.
Yeah, this is one of the favorite ones. I love getting this out in the summer at Gunston. Every game summer Saturdays we'll do bubbles because our kids just love it. We give them each their own straw. They're not allowed to share. They have to take their straw with them when they're done. But this is a really fun one and a really easy, low budget way to mimic something that was around in the 18th century. Lots of fun. Anyone have any thoughts or questions on that one? All right. Well, our last activity needs no supplies, but I am going to turn my camera just a little bit back again so I'm not as backlit. So bear with me. I'm going to throw up our next activity on the screen so you can see the historic image that we're using, and we'll get started in just a sec. All right. This is one of my favorite 18th century games, requires absolutely no supplies. It's called Buzz. Buzz is something that comes out of a book called The Girl's Own Book. You can see the title right up there. This book was actually published in 1833. However, counting games like this one have been around forever. This just happens to be an original one that I could find to show you. So how this game works is each person around a circle says a number, and we're counting. So the next person says the progressively larger number, except when we get to the number 7, instead of saying 7, we say Buzz. If you're reading along in the instructions, you'll notice that it's also using multiples of 7. So 14, 21, and 28 are also in the list. I don't always play it that way, in part because for particularly young kids, they get the concept of Buzz, but they have a hard time recalling the multiplication tables in their head. You'll also notice that there are forfeits to be given if they don't say the right number, if they don't say Buzz when they're supposed to, or if they say Buzz when they're not supposed to. Also, the very last one at the end is if you have to wait longer, if they wait longer than 5 seconds to say the appropriate number or Buzz, you must also pay a forfeit. Forfeits were a variety of things. It was having to say something silly, or run around the house or do something ridiculous. So I have played this game a couple of different ways where the forfeit is that the person who says the wrong thing is out until we start a new round. Or I have Brownie Girl Scouts, and when I play this game with them, in order to keep everybody playing, they have to hold a finger to their nose until the next person says something wrong. We're going to play this morning the version where you're out until we start a new round. And we're going to play it two ways. We're going to play it one with just where you hit the numbers 7 and one with the multiples. So I'm going to pop us down off screen. And Holly and Courtney, I am recruiting you into playing a round of Buzz with me. Are you set on the rules?
Set on the rules. I'm just worried about my math.
I know how
Me
that goes.
too.
So we'll, since we can't physically sit in a circle, we will go, I'll start, and then we'll go Courtney, Holly, because that's the order you're on my screen. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right. So 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
Buzz,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12,
13,
14,
15,
16.
Buzz,
Yes.
18,
19.
20,
We're playing
21.
the easy version. Yes.
okay,
22,
23,
24,
25,
26.
Buzz,
28,
So 29,
30,
31,
32,
33,
34,
35,
36,
Buzz,
you got it. All right, 38,
39,
40,
41,
42,
43. Easy version.
44,
45,
46,
Buzz,
48,
49,
50.
and we'll stop the easy version.
All right.
So let's try it again with the hard version. So this time, anytime we hit a number that includes a 7, so 7, 17, 27, we say Buzz. Anytime we hit a number that is a multiple of 7, so 14, 21, 28, 35, those are all buzzes as well. All right. I will
Okay.
start again. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
Buzz,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12,
13,
Buzz,
15,
16,
Buzz,
18,
19,
20,
Buzz,
22,
23,
24,
25,
26,
Buzz,
Buzz,
29,
30,
31,
I think I heard a 31, but there was a
yes, 31,
Okay, sorry, there's a little delay. Okay, so
flip the internet. Got it.
yeah, so 32.
Yes.
33.
34.
Buzz,
Yes.
36.
Buzz.
38.
39.
40.
41.
Buzz.
Yes.
Okay.
43.
44.
45.
46.
Buzz,
48.
Buzz.
50.
And we're done.
Okay, all right, hey, there we go.
I am really surprised that we actually all made it all the way to 50. I think that's the first time I've ever played both versions of the game where nobody's ever gotten out. And the last time I played with the multiples, I think I got myself out in the 30s because I missed 35. It's hard. You have to think about
Math
it.
is hard.
Yeah, and I see, Helene and John, your comment, 5 seconds is too long. It does seem like it's really long. It gives people too much time to think. You could see we were also all, we had to think about it. We had to think about, is this the right one? I will freely admit that I did not get into the history field because I ever thought I was gonna have to do math. I have to do a lot more math than I ever thought I would, for a huge number of reasons, and one of them is playing this game. But I love this game. It is one that is also a really sneaky way to teach skills. It doesn't have to be 7. Traditionally, 7 is the number, but you could use 3, you could use 6, you could use 9, whatever. Yeah, FizzBuzz, I see, multiples of 5. Yeah, exactly. All of those options are available. But this is a game that today is a really sneaky way to get those multiples in, and was so in the 18th and 19th century as well. It was teaching counting, multiplication. It also teaches attention to detail. You have to be paying attention to what the person before you has said in order to figure out where you're going to be going. And this was a skill that was highly desired both in the young women of the Mason family and the people that they enslaved. So I could see this game being played by both groups of people. And while they're learning something, they're also having a little bit of fun. So this game is one that I think is a really fascinating one. And I love playing it. I love getting kids to play it because it does keep those math skills up. Anyone have any other thoughts or questions on this game? Oh, Helene and John, I see that you like the finger on the nose penalty. It was a good compromise with my Girl Scouts because I often had Brownie and Daisy Girl Scouts crying because they were out. And it keeps everybody playing. So I like that one as well. Any other thoughts or questions on this one? Well, I see we've got a few more moments left before the end of our session, and I have one more game that we can talk about. This is another one that doesn't require any supplies, and it's one that Courtney and Holly don't know about because I just found it the other day. It is called Alphabetical Complements. And Alphabetical Complements is this game that is a lot like the game The Minister's Cat. Has anybody ever heard of The Minister's Cat? No. Okay, that's all right. The Minister's Cat is one where you go through the alphabet and you say the minister's cat is an adventurous cat, and you use the letter of the alphabet to come up with an adjective that describes the minister's cat. And sometimes they are really serious and sometimes they're really silly. And alphabetical compliments works in a lot the same way. So alphabetical compliments also comes from the Girls' Own Book, the game that Buzz comes from. And instead of saying the minister's cat, you say, I love you because you're adorable. I love you because you are beautiful. And in the same way that Buzz works, if you can't find a word that comes with that letter of the alphabet, you're out, or you pay a forfeit. Finger on the nose is another one that works as well. Holly, Courtney, do you understand the concept?
I think so.
Would one of you like to start?
Okay, so I just go, I love you because you're audacious.
Ooh, love it. Okay. Holly, you want to go next?
I love you because you are
bodacious.
Bodacious. I can't think of anything else besides beautiful. That's the only
beautiful works. Ooh, brave.
Ooh, brave. That's a good one.
That's a great one. Okay, brave.
Okay.
I love you because you are creative.
And then I go again?
Yep.
Okay. I love you because you are delightful.
I love you because you are energetic.
I love you because you are fearless.
I love you because you are graceful.
I love you because you are helpful.
I love you because you are likable.
Likable?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Weren't we on
Or
I?
am I doing the wrong letter?
Genius. That's a good one. Yeah.
I totally did the wrong letter.
Okay.
So I was supposed to do I, Courtney.
Okay, so I'm on
J.
Well, I love you because you are jolly.
I love you because you are kind.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to do L.
How you do?
Mm-hmm.
I love you because you are limber.
Okay. I love you because you are. I'm drawing a blank.
Are we on M?
Yes, we're on M. Magnificent.
That's what I was thinking.
Good. Okay. Well, I didn't think of one, so you're off the hook.
I love you because you are notoriously nice. Do I get double points because I've used 2 N words?
We'll go with it.
Okay.
I love you because you are optimistic.
And I love you because you are pretty.
I love you because you are a queen.
Queenly.
Queenly? Okay. Do I have to put my finger on my nose?
I don't know. What do you think, Courtney?
Yeah, I'm tired of having my finger on my nose. So
All right, Holly's on. I love you because you are ridiculous.
and I love you because you are sassy.
I love you because you are timid.
Works.
Sure.
Okay.
That works.
Terrific. That's a better one than timid.
I love you because you are unique.
Okay, T. I love you because you are vivacious.
Good one.
I love you because you are wonderful.
Oh, I have X. In the 18th century, they skipped this letter because they perceived that there were no descriptive words that started with X. And there are now, and now I can't come up with any of them.
I can't help you with X, and I think I'm on to Y,
You are.
and I can't. I have like yellow stuck in my head, but that's not a compliment. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna take it from you. Oh, young? That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, I think I'm gonna take you off the hook, Lacey.
And Holly's got Z.
Youthful. Another good one.
Ooh, zesty. That is a good one, CY.
Zesty. You're coming up with great words.
Zazzy.
Is that a zazzy word?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love you because you are zazzy and zesty. There we go.
Perfect. Awesome. Great job, ladies. Thanks for playing along.
Yes, and thanks for the suggestions in the chat. Those were really
that was super helpful. We super appreciate it.
I had zoo stuck in my head for the last one. I'm like, I can't say I love you because zoo, but that was the only word that was in my head. Hard to get out once it's there.
Yep.
Yeah. But this one's a fun one. This one is one that I could see lots of people playing in the 18th century. I particularly like it in Zinger is a good one. I like it because it's really positive. You're bringing positive attributes to other people. And I think in this moment in history, that's something that we need a little bit more of. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about any of the other activities that we've done today? Anything else that you're curious about? Ooh, that's a good suggestion, Helene and John. If someone fails to think of a word, the next person should have to try it too. So next time, Courtney, you're gonna get stuck with X.
Which means, Holly, you're getting stuck with X. So.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. This has been our July 11th Games Themed Summer Saturdays. As you probably know, the program does continue through the rest of the summer. We have 2 more sessions in July. Next week, we'll be talking about archaeology. The following week, we'll be talking about food, particularly focusing on the food of people who were enslaved. We don't know a whole lot about the people who were enslaved at Gunston Hall. However, we do know a lot about food from the 18th century that was inspired by people who were enslaved and the things that they did with what they were provided by the people who owned them. In August, we will be having more sessions about games, archaeology. We'll have our second garden-themed summer Saturday of the season, and we'll wrap it all up with some food and some games at the end of the month. So we look forward to having you with us. If you can't make any of the dates, don't forget, we are recording the sessions. They are being posted on our website within about a week of the session happening. So we look forward to having you back with us again, and thanks for joining us this time.